So I don't think I can show you the video here, but you can find it. It's a Twitter video, and it's in San Francisco. These guys are just stealing this guy's car in broad daylight, just like with Philadelphia. No rule of law, no thought of being caught. The guy hangs onto his car for a little bit, and he's eventually falls off. I mean, just it's really bad. And then to add to this other thing was sent to me about San Francisco here.
All the business owner will be responsible for keeping the sidewalk in front of their properties clean.
So from the edge of my building all the way out to the curb?
Correct.
These black marks I have to remove?
Correct.
And this white mark I have to remove?
Yes.
Do I need to get the dirt out between the cracks?
If you can.
How do I remove grease stains and this type of stain? How do I remove that from the sidewalk?
Other business owners have told me that they will hire somebody to clean it up with a power washer.
And what's the fine for not removing these stains here from the street?
Ultimately, it will be $1,000. So all the
$1,000 fine for not cleaning the sidewalks, and the place is a pit, right? All these businesses are closed. Businesses are dropping like flies there in San Francisco. And they pay homeless people $600 a month to live there. We saw some homeless guy talking about that. And they're just chasing everybody out so they can sell all this commercial real estate for cheap and then redo this city into whatever they're going to do, into some 15-minute city or whatever. New York Governor Katie Hochul, this is the dude that replaced Andrew Nips Cuomo, deploys another 150 National Guardsmen as migrant crisis turns lawless. 2 asylum seekers are arrested at the Roosevelt Hotel after beating up girlfriends. So she had called this place a sanctuary city, or the sanctuary city, and was encouraging asylum seekers to come there and migrants. But, now she's being overrun. And people with money in New York City and California are fleeing. And now they're changing their tune.
Do wanna be?
My dog was looking back, wondering if I was watching some animal get run over. One of my viewers sent me that. That's well done. Exclusive, this Golden Age Bachelor. Exclusive, are aliens controlling us in a computer game? Leading UFO expert says the theory would explain the different world religions. Just throwing that out there. So this person, Arizona Treasurer Kimberly Yee's statement on serving as acting governor. I've been notified that I'll be serving as acting governor beginning later this evening until mid-morning tomorrow. This was September 27th, yesterday. While I'm pleased to step into this role, I will refrain from naming directors to 13 agencies that currently have vacancies and will not call the Arizona legislature into session to confirm them. That being said, I hope when the governor returns to Arizona, she will promptly name qualified directors to these important state agencies and remove the legal uncertainty that exists from all the regulatory actions taken by the agencies. I expect to see a swift resolution to this matter so we can get back to getting the work done for Arizona taxpayers. The people of Arizona deserve leaders who will follow the rule of law. And so this one says, just in all this evening, Katie Hobbs is the governor of Arizona. Republican Kimberly Lee is the state treasurer, is currently acting governor. The reason is unknown. So this is Arizona Katie Hobbs. She must be a Democrat. And she mysteriously steps down for one day, which she's a Democrat. And then this person, Kimberly Yee, is a Republican, and she's the state treasurer. A little bit, kind of a weird thing there. This is her. She looks to be maybe Native American or something. So that happened. Either way, this dude is getting his heart broken. Now that is a platinum meme right there. I got a couple of short comments to get to, and I want to talk about something I was talking about this morning in my Journey series that has some crossover elements to this video, and everything's going on. And I have a year for 2024. I've come up with what year it's going to be. I do this every year. This year is the year of the F it, right? The boop it. And, you can see it. I mean, I don't usually go back to it like I should, as often as I should. I forget about it. How much of what I just showed you is just like the year of the F it. Like, that's what's happening. And people are just like, F it, and, whatever. And these things continue on. It isn't like it ends. It's something that starts in a year or is featured in a year and then continues on. Like, it's still the year of the ghoul. I mean, there's still ghoul energy, and year of the beast, and year of the schism, division, and year of the dummy, all these things I've done before. And I went back and traced all the years and their names, and I'll, when I announce this new one, again, we're 6 months away, but I don't think it'll change. Who knows what's going to happen, right? Like, there's just so many unanswered questions. But to go with that, I got two pretty great comments. One from the message for the big parasite and the other bears. This is my 5-hour video that I did. And the person says, 5 hours, ? Go back to India, bud. This is a platinum comment. And you have these people who think they're more important than they are, right? I mean, if it was 4 hours, would you still think I should go back to India? Or 3 hours? What was the time limit that justifies you saying I should go back to India? Which, again, I can't live there. With the person without watching it, they just sees the amount of time, and that's their response, right? And has no idea what's in it, and probably wouldn't understand it anyway because they're a dumbass, right? But you have these people who, they think that they can say go back here or go back there, like they're running things, right? Like, in their own mind, they're important, and they're not. And they think their comments have value, and they don't, right? Like, there's just nothing there. Well, I mean, it has value in terms of being mocked. And to go along with this is a flat earther comment. And I talked about Kamala's hilarious NASA fail. And this flat earther said, he didn't even mention that space is a hoax and NASA is a world stage actors. What a shill. The word shill should be banned in the truth community because it's drastically overused, and I think most people don't understand what a shill is. So a shill would mean that I am getting paid by NASA or some other agency and or have worked out a deal with them where I would cover up and say things that I don't believe in, that I know not to be true. I would, cover those things up, say things that were not true, and endorse things that were not true to an audience and pretend that something was not true was real. A shill was somebody who sits in the audience when a snake oil salesman gives them some, snake oil, and then they show that they're cured. And they say they're cured, but they're actually a part of it, right? They're working with the guy on stage. I have no, any of these things. I'm not receiving compensation for any of these things. So it's a person with limited science you would give them on flat earth or round earth or any of these things. They're not a thoughtful person, because they don't even know what the proper word to use is. A person could, in their mind, view me as stupid or naive or any number of things. But to suggest that me not saying those things is a slam dunk and I must be a shill, I must be working for them because that's the material universe is an illusion. So there's that, whatever that means, right? That our life of our soul, our etheric selves, our eternal soul, is our real, the real life, and this human life is just a small blip on our existence, and it's an illusionary world that has because of its being a 3D world where you can feel, touch, and taste things, and everything seems real. It's hard to consider an illusion, but everything about our system and our comprehension of the world is an illusion. But these are like just a couple of dumbasses that think that they have things worthy to say when they're just, there's nothing there. Like they have almost no value. I don't know what else they contribute to society or not, but their comments aren't any of them, right? Is it any sort of a contribution? But segueing into what I was saying today on my, journey series is that I realized early on when I was working to be a spiritual person, I was starting my spiritual journey. And, this is something substantial. Like, I'm talking about it in a way that's just sort of tongue-in-cheek here. But at some point, a decision has to be made that you're going to embrace the path of your soul. You're going to seek to find out what your true purpose is here, what you're really here for. And you're going to allow your ego, you're going to help your ego, you're going to work on your ego being subdued and to give priority to your soul. Like your soul is now governing your ego. And you're going to search for the divinity within you, your true spiritual nature. And so this is when somebody embarks on a spiritual path. It's not, consulting a Ouija board or meditating or doing some yoga or, watching something, going on a retreat or doing, whatever. It's when you actually make the decision that you're going to connect with the divinity within you, and this is a path and a journey that you're going to embark on. And it doesn't matter how serious or not you are or, how committed, but you have to at least activate that by flipping a switch and saying, I'm going to change the direction of my existence from being a material-based person to connecting with the divinity within me and following that path, the path that God lays down. And even if you're only doing it 20% or, you're not doing it great, I mean, everyone going to have levels of commitment and things. You're on a different level of existence than you were before and all the people who haven't done that. But when I had that realization that I wasn't here for the reasons I had been told by my system and by the, the indoctrination of this beastly system, and I had a spiritual purpose, early on I realized that living at this time and being an American, I was only going to do so well. And this has kind of saved me from a lot of the pitfalls of other people who do Sajmarg, do the meditation I do, or other people who do, they go on some sort of spiritual journey or whatever, is that I was going to just set myself up better for my next life, whatever it might be. But whatever I did here, and, and not just some selfish thing, but I was going to work to make the world a better place in some, minor ways, like the best that I could do. That I wasn't going to shoot for the stars, so to speak, and, try to become something that I didn't really have a shot at being, right? In terms of like what was available to me. I would do as well as I possibly could, but I wasn't going to get bummed out if I was not able to reach a level that was available to me and I just didn't make it because of my, whatever it is, my being a slacker or my being an American or my living at this time of Kali Yuga or any of these things. It was more important that I just move forward in some way. And the reason that saved me, and I've done better than a lot of the people, there's a whole thing going on with the Heartfulness scam and people who are struggling with the, people I knew, friends, whatever it was, people who did the same meditation that I did, and they're failing miserably at this current dilemma with Dodgy being sucky and all the things I've said, right? Chargy, the former master of the system, being thrown under the bus. Because there are some optimal goals in the Sajmark system of receiving liberation, being liberated from your earthly bondage, and then God realization, mukti, and Layavasta, they're Sanskrit words, where you merge back into the source. And there's things that you can achieve that you might achieve those things, but you probably don't deserve them and aren't ready for them, which has been borne out by the system, people going to high levels and falling. And it happens a lot in the human condition. People become saints and they forget about why they're there, and they get materially connected to their followers. And there's all these things that happen, right? On smaller levels and larger levels, some of them spiritual or not. You see what happens to celebrities, people who rise to great heights in the material world often will have a fall, and they'll get egotistical and entitled, and rich people. I mean, all these things. We know what happens to human beings. And the other thing is, if you have lofty goals that you have no chance of achieving, you start imagining that you're achieving them, or you start imagining that you're better than you are, or you get depressed because you're not doing what you thought you were going to do. All these things. And so I was just going to be realistic about my potential and who I was as a person, and the situation that is our modern day life and things like this, and just move forward, be going forward in my spiritual journey. And no matter if it's small steps or it doesn't matter. Like, I just had to be committed to it, but not in some way that I'm beating myself up over all these things. And part of the problem is that when you're a spiritual person, you can't just pretend you're nice. You just can't go out in the world and pretend you're nice and say you're spiritual. Oh, I'm so kind to everybody, I smile at everyone. Yeah, but when you look at them, what do you really think? What do you if the people could read your mind and hear what your thoughts are about them, that's just a superficial act. You have to go inside and confront your own inner dialogue and the way you view the world, and your own entitlements and your own selfish thoughts and whatever, but you can't control them in some, oppressive way where you deny these samskaras, these conditions inside of you, these, whatever it is, the way that you view the world, who you are as a person inside. You can't, force yourself not to be that way. You can't just try to cement in your thoughts and force your thoughts away and pretend you don't have those thoughts and feelings. And, it's been great problems for people in the spiritual world when they have negative thoughts, they have deviant thoughts, and they try to erase them and force themselves not to have it, and it just gives them more power, and they eventually run amok. So you have to confront these things. The cleaning process in the Sajmark system is helpful. Transmission, there's a purity element to it. You have to confront these things and then retrain yourself to have better thoughts and, to be a more natural person, be authentic, all the things that you've learned not to be by the system, the beastly system, right? And so people who are constantly thinking they're a piece of, poop and beating themselves up, you're doing yourself a disservice, because you might suck now. We all suck, and you might be more sucky than the average person. But can you just be somewhat better? Between now and the time you die, can you do something to move forward? If you have an addiction, can you conquer that addiction? Can you, there are just a few things you can do. And again, if people who do the Gratefullness meditation, there's the assist that you get from the cleaning and the transmission. You just move along. A lot of these things just naturally fall off. And so if you just keep on plugging away, you become a better person just through the spiritual process. But just be moving forward some small way. Like, don't, beat yourself up and say, I could never be a saintly person. Well, was one of your goals being a saint, right? Like, did you ever think, I want to be a saint, right? Until you learned that you were on the spiritual path or whatever. You're contemplating the spiritual path, and you start daydreaming, what if I become one of those saints? Like, it's just stupid, right? Like, it's something you didn't want to be or didn't think about, and now it's a possibility that you'll become the spiritual person that people will look up to in some way. And then you're thinking about it like in some self-aggrandizing way, that people do. Like, just, those things have to go. What you got to do is just, grind it out, right? Just grind out the rest of this life in a tumultuous circumstance and, make something better of yourself, just even if small steps, baby steps, whatever it is. And, if you can achieve great things, and do it. Like, if it comes natural to you, if the thing flows like that, that's great. But you want to always be moving forward, because oftentimes People have a little bit of achievement, it goes to their head. Like I said, saints fall, spiritual people fall. And it's more important that you just like move forward. At least that's how I view, my own spiritual journey. That there's some level of just making it better and going out in a positive direction. You don't want to go out where you're, mad at God, Father, why hast thou forsaken me, or Jesus on the cross, these things. Where you feel bitter, or you feel like all these people suck and they betrayed you. You just want to stay away from all that kind of stuff. You can't expect anything from people, the masses. Everyone's desperate and people are crazy and, they're life suckers and parasitic and all these things. You can't trust people, just know. Doing things on the material plane is always going to have pitfalls and drama and things, and it's just a high drama time. Everyone's got to find their own way. I'm not saying this blueprint will work for you, but it's worked for me effectively because I didn't aspire to be something that I couldn't, and I consistently have gotten better and improved myself as a spiritual person. And to me, that's an achievement. It's certainly an achievement, and it's something that can be carried on and, momentum in after you die. Like what's going to happen after you die? Do you want to be going in the right direction, have momentum, be going and, developing your capacity to be, better and just keep on moving forward. And the opportunity is there for people to do that. But, again, people imagine things or they try something that's too hard and they think they're going to achieve something that's beyond them. If you're going to try, sure, but just be aware if you fail, you fall short, you still move forward. Like you just don't get negative about it. You don't get depressed. You don't, beat yourself up over it. You don't rearrange reality. This is what so many people do. They rearrange reality. You look at those two commenters, like they're perfect. There's so many people like this in the truth community. They're like fire and brimstone, all the failures, all the controllers, Biden, Kamala Harris, Trump, all these people. And they're so much better than those people. And they're not doing anything to improve because they never look themselves in the mirror and see what needs to be seen. They can't take any sort of criticism, whether it comes in a natural way or just, people who love them, whatever it is. And they're so emotionally fragile, but they're so hateful that they got to project their hate on something and their failure on somebody else or something else. That's like the majority of people now. And it is, a nightmare for a person because they're so clueless. It's hard for them to have any sort of growth in consciousness because they have no self-awareness and there's no effort in self-improvement. So they're just, making the world a worse place with their toxic energy. And, this is a widespread thing. And the other piece to this is they're so fragile, they can't admit what they are. The worst people can't admit what they are. They have to rearrange reality that there's some protagonist and there's some hero. And, you have to be able to admit where you are. Even if it's not as honest as it could be, if it's just a little bit of insight into some of the negatives in your personality, the way you affect other people, the way you affect the environment and these things. And you're like, all right, I can do better than that. Like accepting where you are, not as a way to beat yourself up or feel sorry for yourself or feel like a victim or blame your parents or society, but just accept what you are now, at least as much as you can, and figure out ways that you can improve, not in some superficial, artificial way, but sincere way. If you're just moving forward a little bit, you're better off. And if you're not able to do as much as somebody else or your effort isn't there or whatever, as long as you're doing something, it's better than nothing, right? Especially now. Like, small steps are huge leaps in the Kali Yuga because it's so hard. Everything's pushing you away from being on the spiritual path and being somebody who's connected to God. And I'm not talking again about artificial movements like acting and pretending to do something. I guess there's some value in faking it until you make it, but that's not what I'm referring to here. Like real things that you can say, I've worked to, I recognize some of my negative tendencies and I'm working to eliminate them as best my ability, minimize them, and then do some other things in their place that are positive. And it's just small, it's a small adjustment. And if people do that just a little bit, they'll see vast improvement. And having a spiritual practice, the gratefulness meditation for me is essential. Not everyone's going to do that, but It provides the cleaning and transmission and the positive energy and the removing of the things on the spiritual level that allows people to change. But even people who do it, they don't change because they don't want to change. So the most important part is that you view yourself as you're going to change and you need to change, and you work on that. Anyways, just a little food for thought. So this is the end of part 2, and as I said maybe earlier in this video or the other video, I don't know if this or the other video will be demonetized or both will or neither. And so this might be up first, and you can go back and watch part 1 if you'd like or whatever. Again, just YouTube making it more difficult, but whatever. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely pointing for the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.